Hey, how you doing? This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show, and I'm making a little progress on testing this radio right here, this emergency radio. And what I'm doing right now is I'm using a lamp to provide sunlight in some form. Now, I don't know how accurate this is, or what it's, what degree Kelvin the lamp is, or anything like that. But the little light on the radio, little red LED, that indicates the internal battery is being charged is on, and it's on bright. Since the weather right now is pretty terrible, I don't think I'm going to get much sunlight for the next couple of days. So I'm going to try this method, and if nothing else, it should be a little more controlled than using sunlight that comes and goes and varies and everything. Plus, it doesn't introduce too much heat on the radio. Now, again, this is not practical because when you're in an emergency situation, you'll have to use the sunlight because you won't have a lamp to charge the radio. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing right now. I started out about 15 minutes ago. We're going to let it charge for 4 hours and see what it does. Now, I did do this morning, very difficultly, I did the crank test, which is, let me kind of zoom in here now that we're talking about the sheet here, is right here, the 5-minute crank test. And that's where I use the dyno crank on the radio. I crank it. I start with the radio totally discharged as much as possible. And I crank for 1 minute. And then I rest my hand, my arm, my shoulders. And then I crank for another minute until I've accumulated 5 minutes of cranking time. Couple of things to say about cranking this radio. One is, and what I was a little concerned about before, is, let me shoot this over here for a second. This is the on-off switch for the light. And when you're grasping this thing to crank it, you have to grasp it really hard because the crank is really hard. I found myself twice that I've hit that button. I tried turning the radio upside down, other things. I just had to be careful not to hit that button and turn the light on because, of course, the light's on, then the light is drawing power that I'm trying to put into the battery. Anyway, so that's still a little bit of a disadvantage as far as holding it. I'm just coming off an illness, so I don't have a lot of strength. So it was difficult to crank, for me, it was difficult to crank for 60 seconds, total continuous, and then rest another 60 seconds. I got through it. And the average person wouldn't have any problem because they'd have a lot more strength than I do right now. Anyway, the result was amazing. 5 minutes of cranking, not continuous, 1 minute rest, 1 minute, so on. I got 27 minutes and 56 of playtime with using the front light on and the radio on. So that was 27 minutes and 50 seconds for only 5 minutes of cranking. Based on other emergency radios, this was probably the best. My memory's not that good, but I think that was the best. So that is going to score. I'm going to have to knock it down one letter because of the problem with holding it and turning that button on. Also, there was another problem, and I can show you briefly here. And there were minor problems. And anybody that's not a weakling like me wouldn't be a problem. On the bottom here is the AA Litton battery selection switch. Right? And where's the camera? What did I do with the camera? It's right there. That sticks out. And that kind of gets in the way when you hold it this way. When you turn it over this way, your fingers are touching it. Not a big deal, it's just a little bit of a nuisance. So with that in mind about the two buttons, I'm going to drop it down to a B. So it gets a B. A, as far as amount of playtime, I did knock it down a letter just for that, but that's important to me. That seems to be a problem with these small emergency radios, is many of them don't have a good place to put your hands when you're cranking, because you have to hold it really tight. That dyno crank has lots of resistance, and this one has the most resistance I've ever encountered. Now, part of it is that the arm right here, the arm is not real long, but it's the average length you'll find. So it's not short by any means. So anyway, so that's why we gave it a B. We are now, as I mentioned when I started, I'm using this lamp to charge the radio using the solar panel, which is right here. And we're going to let that sit under that lamp for 4 hours. Now, like I say, I don't know what the Kelvin number or whatever you want to call it of that lamp is, how much wattage, I don't know. But it is a known. Unlike sticking it in the windowsill and having clouds go by and, you know, from test to test, there'll be a lot of variance. So if this works, I'm going to use this in the future for all my emergency radio or any radio that has solar charging testing. Okay, so that's what that is. The last thing I have to do after that is I have to demonstrate the external charging capability of this radio. Now, here is the cable that comes with it right here. It's a standard USB and a micro USB. You plug it in to the side port of the radio with the standard, and then this will plug to your cell phone or any other device if it uses a standard micro USB connector. And then, and what I read in the documentation is that you can use the internal battery, the rechargeable battery, to charge that device. You can use 3 AAA batteries, which you've installed, to charge that device. And you can use the crank to charge that device. I don't think I'm going to do all those tests, but I'm going to at least verify that there's an output from the radio supplying power to do that function. So that's as far as I'm going to go. So we're almost done here. We'll let this thing charge for 4 hours, do a discharge test, and then I'll come back and give you the results of that and show you external charging capability of the radio. That's it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please give me a thumbs up and have a great day. Bye-bye.